Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to Influencers Radio. Today, you know, it's not often that I can say that we have some folks that are absolute leaders in their field, in what they do, with just respected and looked at by some of the most well-known folks across several different industries in what they are doing. Today, my guests are Carola Eastwood and Chetan Parkyn. They are recognized around the world as the experts, not just the experts, but actual pioneers in the field of human design. Now, if you don't know what human design is, believe me, you're going to find out what exactly that is. And nope, it's not about designing humans. It's something that is going to be very, very, really a personal experience for you as we go through and talk about this, because I don't think there's a person listening to this right now that this isn't going to create some V8 moments and really have you reflecting on what that you've gone through in the past, what you're going through now, and it's really about potential. Because one of the things that's the most common across almost everyone is unrealized potential in what they're doing. And what Carola and Chetan help folks do is break through obstacles, break through the challenges that are keeping you from having the business, not just the business, but the personal success that you know is possible. And it really is about being able to, if you're one of those folks out there and you know that the success is possible, you know that you have more potential, you know you have a lot further that you can go, both in business and your personal life, and you know that there's something holding you back. And chances are you've gone above and beyond to try to fix that. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, one of the most important things that I've learned from these two, and possibly one of the most important things that you're going to learn, is you may be trying to fix a problem that just doesn't exist. That's a pretty big statement, but they are going to bring complete clarity to that today, I am certain. Carola, Chetan, welcome to Influencers Radio.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
Thank you, Jack.
Well, fantastic. I've got to say, let me start off real quick with Chetan, because I want to get a little bit of background, because a lot of times, I like to jump right into kind of the things that you do, the ways that you help folks. But to me, your story, that kind of how you got into this, is a reflection that I think a lot of people will be able to resonate with, on how you got into the human design area. And it probably wasn't even called human design, or that name may not have been attached to it when you first discovered this, but you were a person that almost would be complete opposite of what a lot of folks would think get in this. You were an engineer. You were a person that fixed things, a very logical mind, a very logical way of thinking, and really to jump from what you were doing engineering to going full blown with the passion that you have in helping folks with human design is a remarkable story. So if you could kind of jump into back when you first discovered this and were, exposed to the potential and what this had, and how you were how it was let known to you that you were going to be doing this for such a long time and helping so many folks.
So, Jack, yes, I grew up in the countryside in England. I grew up on a farm, and anyone that lives on a farm knows that the machinery that you use, sooner or later it breaks down. And I really was not very good at fixing stuff. So I went to school. I went through engineering school. I became a qualified mechanical engineer to learn how to fix things. And by the time I'd qualified, the farm was finished, and that wasn't happening anymore. So I started traveling as a troubleshooting engineer, traveled all over the world. And it just came to pass that how I was experiencing my life and how I had received this education and the know-how in how to do engineering, the two parts wouldn't mix. And I was 27 years old. I hit the wall. Nothing was making sense to me anymore. I was fortunate enough. I was in India, and I met this man. I was introduced to this man who gave readings to people. And he read me very, very thoroughly, told me all about myself, all the things. It almost felt like he'd been following me around my whole life. And at the end of the reading, he turned to me and said, I want you to come and work with me because you know how to do this kind of work. Well, at that moment in time, I didn't really connect with what he was trying to offer me. And I turned him down. And he thought that was really funny because here was the world expert at what he did, turning down some guy who'd just come for a reading, not part of his family, not part of the father-to-son business. And he was offering to me to be trained in what he was doing. And when he finished laughing, he said, well, it doesn't matter because you're going to do this work anyhow. And my suggestion is you learn some way of relating to people, reading for people, finding out how to tell them things about themselves, because there is a system that's going to come into your life. You're going to write books about it. You're going to introduce it to thousands of people all over the world, and it's going to change their lives. So this was 1979. I walked out of there, not really believing what he'd told me, but still in a state of disbelief. A week later, I met a psychic palm reader. This man insisted on showing me how to read hands, and I just realized I can do this. And I started reading for people anywhere I met them. I would say, if I said this about you, what would you say back to me? And I learned how to relate to people, what I could tell them, what I couldn't tell them, what people could absorb, what they couldn't. 1993, somebody sent me a chart. It was a human design chart. I took one look at this chart, and I knew right away this is what this man in India had told me about. This was the system he'd told me about. 2009, after many, many years, many thousands of readings, HarperCollins published my book. It's now published in America by New World Library. It's now in 11 languages all over the world. And it's just a runaway success. It's changing people's lives.
So that right there to me, Jimmy, is remarkable, the way that is. And when I said at the beginning of the show, pioneers, it really is. Not that you invented this human design, but you stumbled across this powerful thing when you were in India, and you not only had the good fortune to learn how to do this and apply it, but you went out there and have unfolded this to the world. 11 languages, and now the thousands of people that you folks have helped to be able to do this. That is just such a huge jump from an engineer that went around fixing things, and to jump from that to helping folks.
The beautiful thing about that, Jack, is that, it's like the master here proves the process, because it was in discovering his own truth, Chetan's own truth, about what his life is really about, what really his passion is, what he loves to do, what he's meant to do, really, that human design came to him. And now it's become his passion and his love to help others with human design to understand the purpose and the process of their life that's going to lead them to the greatest success, whether it's in business or in their personal life, in their love life, in their creative life. And he was inspired to write the book. It's called Human Design, Discover the Person You Were Born to Be. And as we said, HarperCollins published it first. The Library in America picked it up, and now it's in 11 languages throughout the world and going strong.
And I think that right there just says it all. The life, the life that you're designed to lead. So let's talk about that, because that really is the core of human design. That it really is around potential that gets muddied up, gets chipped away at, gets diluted over time by influences in society and people moving from what they are designed to do and what their potential is to what they think the expectations of them are for others. So talk about a little bit of that, about the difference between what a lot of folks are designed, their natural potential, versus what they kind of fight against that as they grow.
Sure. Well, everything in the universe has intelligent design behind it. I mean, if you look at an acorn seed, contained within that acorn seed is the perfect pattern for becoming an oak tree, right?
Yeah.
So within every living thing, there's a pattern of unfoldment that if that follows the design of that pattern, it will unfold perfectly. Well, we humans have our own design. We have our own internal unique design because we're all unique beings. And if we were born and simply allowed to unfold our design that in the most natural way, like an acorn seed does, then we would all grow up completely in alignment with our authenticity. We'd be living the life we meant to live, and we'd be sharing our gifts with the world with ease and with grace. That's how we're meant to be. But what happens is we get interfered with. So our well-meaning parents usually trying to influence us in certain directions, or educators, or, there's a lot of misunderstanding in the world about how to live a life, or what, how to make decisions in life, for instance. We're not human machines. We're human beings, and we have within us a way. Each of us has a unique way to tap into our own truth and follow that truth. And when we do that, our life unfolds according to our soul's original design for it. So what Chetan and I do is, through human design, is we help people to reunite with that intrinsic pattern of how their life can unfold in the most optimal way. And what that does is it increases their success exponentially sometimes, and sometimes quite rapidly, in terms of, with their business or their professional life, their career, but also in their personal life and with their families as well.
Yeah, and so, one of the things that when people are feeling frustration as they grow older, they're feeling frustration, they're feeling that things aren't happening the way that they thought. They feel that they're doing all of the right things. They're doing what they were told to do, what they were taught to do. And not that anyone sent them off this path maliciously. I'm sure their parents did this with all the best intentions and love that they could, but one of the things that really struck me that you guys talk about is that a personal success is just that. It's personal. It's not meeting the expectations of others or anything like that. But it sounds like, what folks do as this piles up is they start going on this path of trying to fix what others have kind of made them feel is broken, or the reason that they're not meeting this potential expectations. And that takes them even deeper down the hole. And that, to me, that's remarkable. And it resonated so much with me, and kind of to think about the things that you do. What are others going to think? What am I going to do, to make sure that it makes me happy, but it doesn't disrupt what others' expectations of me? What do you think is the biggest obstacle for folks to get over, that when, they come to that realization that that's what's happening in their lives?
Well, it's a very famous saying, Jack, a very simple saying. What anyone thinks of you is none of your business.
Yes, absolutely.
One cannot even begin to imagine, how somebody else came to that thought process and why they would think something like that about you. So, we don't come here to live somebody else's life. And yet, right from the get-go in this lifetime, we go to school. What do we learn in school? Everybody else's ideas of what life is. Do we ever get the chance to find out what our idea of life is? Very rarely. And this just goes on. It snowballs. So we come here to be ourselves. You ask, well, what's my purpose here in life? Well, you might have a career, you might have a family, you might have a nice car on the street, you might have all kinds of things going on in your life. But ultimately, at the core, we come here to be ourselves, a perfect expression of life in a human form. And the moment we start tuning back into exactly what that is, and the moment we start remembering, what we came here for, how to live this life out in a way that actually resonates with us, then everything starts to change.
From what I've seen on the folks that you've worked with and the tremendous successes that I've seen in transformations, and we'll talk, a little bit about what that means with the folks that you've worked with. But I want to make sure that people understand maybe the state that they're in right now, that because of deviating from this design, this natural, I guess even it would be it would be the path of least resistance if they would just keep the resistance out of the way. But what I want people to recognize, that you help me recognize with this, is that these expectations, these, the things that you're trying to fix, are what manifests itself into what we now recognize in ourselves as being overwhelmed, as being confused, as being unhappy when we should be happy by, all other benchmarks, right? So how is it that you're able to help people reconcile that, and this is the place to start. And so that's where I want to kind of go into is, reconciling the overwhelm, the confusion that people feel. And so they know why that's happening and how they can go back to remembering, or begin to go through that process of remembering kind of what their potential, what their human design was.
Mm-hmm. Well, when people first come to us, generally it's because they're in some confusion, or they're in a lot of overwhelm. They're feeling like the demands of this world are just too great, and they're working 16 hours a day and they still aren't fulfilled, or they may not be, or they're in a relationship that's not fulfilling, or they're just not happy when, like you said, when they should be happy. So it's very actual, simple process of engaging with us, and there's several different ways and levels at which people can engage with us, anywhere from a $35 approximately 20-page report that's a written report that walks them through all of the elements of their human design. That's the information level, so they're gaining information at that low investment value, to becoming part of a program. We have a yearly program that's called the Energies and Opportunities, that each year, in which we walk people through how to make the best use of all of the energies and opportunities of the year, month by month by month. That's another very inexpensive way that people can engage with us too. Ideally, having a personal reading with Chetan, and having the human design, having their own human design chart revealed to them in that powerful session, or set of sessions that Chetan delivers, where it's really a transmission, where he's putting people back in touch with their original human design. Some people start the process by reading the book, Human Design, Discover the Person You Were Born to Be, that Chetan wrote. It walks you through your own personal design. And that's a good way to get an introduction to it. And ideally, having that personal reading with Chetan, what it does really, would you say, Chetan, it's like you're tuning up people, you're tuning them back into themselves.
Yes, it's like that. I mean, people ask me, what do I do? And it's almost like I tune people up in their own lives. It's like somebody who tunes up a piano that gets everything back in tune again. So I do that with people. I help them get right back in touch with who they came in with, how they came in, what they came in to live out in this lifetime.
Their intrinsic nature.
Yes.
And so from that place of being connected with our intrinsic nature, what happens is that we naturally, so it's not a big effort. After you understand this, it's not a big effort. We naturally begin to move in our life according to our design, that then naturally attracts the opportunities, attracts the people, attracts the right situations to ourselves, and we'll know how to respond to what life is offering us, or how to interact with what life is offering us. That's really the key, because then we make the right choices every time. And I started out as a counselor, and for 15 years I have people in my office, in pain, really hurting because they're they've made a bad decision. Essentially, they married the wrong person. Their dad wanted them to be in the medical field, a doctor or something, but really they have an interest in a completely different direction. So people experience decades of frustration because they've gone down the wrong direction, and almost always it's because they followed somebody else's idea of what they should do with their life. And then they get so lost that they don't know how to find their way back to their truth. That's what we do, and it's simple and powerful.
Now, one of the things that I know a lot of folks have is a fear of change, right? And there's a lot of people that even though they've gone so deep sometimes they think, but wow, what an investment. What are people going to think, when I go to change? And even some folks have, when you talk about readings and things like that, one of the first things that folks may come to mind is this going to compromise my faith? Is it going to compromise my values? Is it going to change who I am or how I treat the people that are around me that are in my lives? And, one of the things that I've seen with the folks you work with is all of those, if they happen in a noticeable amount, it's to a tremendously, a positive side. But, can you speak to those fears that people have about changing and how it affects their current, their values and their faith?
Well, yes. Let me give you that example again about the musical instrument. Supposing you're a concert pianist and you have a concert lined up, you've been practicing for it, you're ready to give the performance, and, all of life is a performance. And in the moment in question, you go out to play the piano and the piano's out of tune. Well, it's going to be very uncomfortable, to put it mildly. Supposing you play that same concert, your life, while the piano's in tune. This is not about changing anything except about bringing your life into tune to what is natural for you. So this is not something that concerns anyone about their belief systems or religions or, anything like that. This is about you living your own authentic self in your own life. So any kind of change that comes about is going to be something that's completely natural for you. And I tell you, when I recognize people start playing their life in tune, everything is different. There's this deep level of satisfaction that comes in. I've watched children in families, suddenly through an understanding of human design, everybody recognizes each other. I know teachers that teach children in classrooms and they know the child's design. And all of a sudden they're relating directly to that person. And that child is able to excel in their recognition. None of us wants to be taken for granted in life. But I tell you, all of us like to be recognized for who we are and how we can expand on our potentials. So for anyone that is concerned about, massive change, the only change that's going to take place is you're going to be more and more in tune with your own life.
Yeah, and what a gift that is to some, because it's really probably the 90% of what's at the core of the problem or the disconnect, or the obstacles that they're facing right now. One of the reasons that I wanted to have you folks on the show and consider you influencers is not just in the work that you do directly with your clients, but one of the things that really stood out with me is that a lot of the folks that you help, a lot of the entrepreneurs you help, are in the business of enhancing others' lives, whether it's healers, coaches, physically, mentally, people that are out there changing in a very positive way others' lives that are facing these obstacles and frustrations themselves, and you being able to help them has got to have a reaching effect exponentially to all the people that they are helping.
It's true, it really does, because, and I would say that as the majority of people who work with us closely, they are in some kind of work or business that involves helping others to experience more success in their life. So it's when people understand their own design, they become much more effective in how they're working with their coaching clients, their counseling clients, their healing clients, or their students, as Chetan pointed out. We work with businesses so that people become more effective at leading their teams and their businesses. The fun thing that really starts to happen is that when one person in a family or one person on a team of people or one person in a small company gets their human design, they tend to radiate such enthusiasm about it that then the other people in their community want to have their design too. So then there's a whole other conversation that starts happening where the entire team starts working at a new level of efficiency and effectiveness. It's also a lot of fun. So people really get into a very joyful and amusing conversation when they come to understand their designs and other people's designs.
Yeah, well, I think one of the example that Chetan gave about the teacher and the student is a perfect example of how this reaches out when a teacher learns, and that really is the human design when you start talking about being able to understand, being able to see and relate to folks, how that gets passed on, one teacher to how many, 30, 50, hundreds of the students that they come in contact every day, the coaches, the healers and folks that are, this is something, when I said pioneer, you folks are doing something that is reaching probably more folks than you could ever talk to directly, and benefiting the society and the world and what you're doing, because the book in 11 languages, I can't imagine the impact that this has had on how many people that this has had a impact on. What would someone do to find out more about what you are doing and to learn more and to really understand what the opportunities are with human design?
Well, it's been my great pleasure to train people in human design, and I've been doing that since 1997. I've been training people to learn how to use human design, and we teach it through online classes. We also do in-person classes. I mentor people as well, so that they get really, really clear in their own design. And it's a funny thing that you might think, well, everybody should know their human design, and of course, that is going to happen over time. But what we found is, in a family or in a business, when one person knows their design and really understands how that design works, it has a ripple effect. They're clear in their life, and it has a ripple effect that everybody who interacts with them starts becoming much, much clearer in their own lives. So we're very happy to teach people. We're very happy to train people. We're very happy to do readings for people. And people can go to our website. We have a number of things on offer on the website. We've actually got two websites, humandesignforusall.com, literally as it sounds, humandesignforusall.com. And there's another one, we have The Success Transformation. So listeners can look into these websites. They can see the things that we offer and choose for themselves, what it is, how much further they'd like to get into this. Because honestly speaking, from Carola's and my viewpoint here, every single person that we interact with here, they have a massive transformation in their life. A thoroughly positive recognition of who they are and what they're here living out. And I tell you, some of the most exciting things are seeing couples finally understand who they're living with and who they're relating with, parents recognizing who their children are and, how to bring out the genius of their own children, how to recognize their children, and how the children can recognize and most easily interrelate with their parents. We have a lot of fun with this.
Oh, yeah.
I think a very simple way for people to begin the conversation is to get their human design report, and they would do that by going to Human Design for, spelled out F-O-R, humandesignforusall.com, and just go through the process on the front page. There's a free report first. It gives you a little information, and then a comprehensive report that allows you to really have the full information about your human design, and that's where the impact really is. And actually right now, that's a $35 product, and it's on sale right now for $19.95. So I would say that would be a great just way to begin, but don't stop there, because information is one thing, and engaging with the information and beginning to use it and make it practical is where the highest value really comes.
All right. So that would be the place. So for someone that's listening to this and human design, that this introduced them to the whole concept of human design. Would you say that's the best place for them to start is to go and start with that reading of that report?
I think, yes, if they want to learn about their own human design, that's the best place to go begin with. And then I'd also suggest that you do go to thesuccesstransformation.com and watch the video. There's a brief video there. It was quite well done, and it explains more, and there's some very brief interviews of a few of our clients who give their perspectives about how their lives have changed. And I think, seeing this and on the video and hearing some of our clients talk about it will give another dimension of understanding.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I would love to encourage folks to do is, for sure, the successtransformation.com. If you go to that page, scroll down a little bit, watch the video. It's a really powerful video that I think really lets us get to know Carola and Chetan and the people that they've helped. And that's one thing that always benefits me is to actually see and hear from the people that you helped and how it impacts their lives. And then, of course, also, again, the humandesignforusall.com. We'll have these links right there on the show post for folks to check out. Carola Chetan, I want to thank you so much for being on Influencers Radio today and sharing this. And I know that this has been something new. This has been something that, there's almost, you provided a squeegee for the mind here, for a lot of folks. So I do appreciate you being on here, and you truly are influencers and pioneers in this area of human design. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome.
All right. There you have it, folks. Definitely check this out. It is something that could be so tremendously powerful for you. And it's not just for yourself, but for the others, because believe me, if you're feeling frustration, if you're feeling overwhelmed, I will guarantee you that it's flowing over into the into your workplace, your business, and most importantly to the people that you love. So until next time on Influencers Radio, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/influencersradio.